7 Days of Wisdom, Aquaus Kelley, Thursday, August 1st, 2019. I'm here at Rutgers University in Scott Hall, and the reason why I wanted to shoot this video is because I want to touch on the topic of nouns. Now, I know you're probably thinking, what is this guy talking about? Why would you want to talk about nouns? And by the end of this video, I promise you, I will make sense of it. Earlier this morning, I was listening to the Side Hustle Pro podcast. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm an avid podcast listener, avid YouTube watcher. I'm always looking for new things to learn. And as I was going through my morning routine, listening to the podcast while I'm preparing breakfast just to utilize my time in an effective manner, I was just absorbing what was being said, right? So a lot of times, even in our own conversations from day to day, when we think about it, we mention people's names to other people. Oh, that's a great person. Oh, that's a not so great person. I just read this book. I just went this place. I came back from vacation and this place was phenomenal. So people, places, things. Keep that in mind. People, places, things. So when we think about building relationships and connecting with others, usually it stems back to a source. So when I think of how I've built the relationships that I've built over the years, it always goes back to, if it's not me receiving information from someone, then it's me receiving information from something. And when I say something, it's usually a book, it could be a podcast, it could be a video, any source of information. So I'm like, okay, as I'm listening to this podcast this morning, literally, this is how my mind's working. Okay, if we start paying closer attention to the nouns that are around us, the people that are around us, the places that are around us, the things that are around us, then eventually we can get pretty far in life. Perfect example. This past weekend, maybe not even the past weekend, but earlier this week, I was watching John Henry, for example, on YouTube. So I was watching a John Henry video, and in the video, he gets interviewed by someone for a podcast. This someone happens to be a guy named Nick Singh, who has his own podcast, Autographs Podcast. And while I'm looking at this video, listening to the video, in my mind, I'm thinking, yo, let me reach out to Nick and get familiar with his work and see what kind of other stuff he does. Because again, the power of connection, you have to pay attention, right? In order to connect, we have to pay attention to what's happening around us. So I'm like, let me do the research. And I just did some quick research, looked up the Autographs Podcast, listened to an episode, right? Because it's important to really get to know someone and get to know the work of someone, especially when we're looking to connect with other people. Make the time to get familiar with their work before you reach out. So I listened to a podcast, and the podcast that I listened to was when he interviewed Elliot Hulse. And there are a lot of points. There was a ton of insight in that interview. So this was in the interim of me actually coming across Nick through a John Henry video, and then reaching out to Nick to connect with him on Instagram. We go back and forth. He's like, hey, let's set up a call. We had a phone call yesterday, and one thing just led to the other, you know? So when he comes out to the city, when he comes out to NY to do some interviews, he spoke about Anthony Frazier, who's another guy I know. And again, names, right? It all makes a difference. It all means something. One thing I've been realizing over the past months, over the past year or so, is a lot of times we're just not paying attention. Like, we're just not paying attention. Whenever I read a book, anytime I come across a name, I'm underlining it or circling it because I want to do research on that person. They were mentioned in the book, so they must be doing something right. Anytime another book title is mentioned, whether someone drops a title in an interview, whether someone mentions a title in their own book, there must be some reason that that title is being mentioned in the book. Connections. When we think about those who are at the top of their industry and then their circle of influence, the people they know, usually there's overlap, right? Oh, I know this person, I know that person. Oh, we both know the same person. That happens a lot. And as we rise and elevate in our respective careers, respective paths, respective journeys, we realize that there's so much overlap. We just have to pay attention. Pay attention to the nouns. Pay attention to the people, the places, the things around us. And that's one sure way to elevate and go from one point to the other, to the other, to the other, slowly but surely. Trust me, all it takes is one. That leads you to another one. That leads you to another one. A lot of times, I've heard in the past people say, but I don't know anyone. I have no relationships. And here's what I have to say to that. Pick up a book, start reading, watch a video, listen to some podcasts. You will start to hear people, hear places to go to. Oh, you should check this place out. You should go to that museum. You should go to this event. And act on it. Act on it. There's no reason why we cannot take action on something. We have computers, we have mobile devices. Let's utilize those properly. Let's put those to work, right? We have access to libraries. I walked into this classroom right now. Yes, I'm a Rutgers alum, but literally, I was walking down the street. I was actually looking for a library. So I was gonna go to the Alexander Library, but I'm like, you know what? Let me stop in Scott Hall, see if the building's open. So I just walked to the door. The door was open. I walked in, I walked up the stairs, I came in the classroom. I'm like, this is a fitting setting for this kind of video. So that's why I'm here right now, right? So it's just a matter of opening doors, being curious. Again, stay curious. Stay curious. Nothing can really stop us, yo. Like, for real. Let's do this thing. Like, there's no need for excuses anymore. I'm trying to literally smother that. That's one of the reasons why I still do these videos on an iPhone. This is an iPhone 6, not even a 6S. I'm doing these videos on because I don't want anyone to have any excuses not to do anything. So again, back to the title, the theme of this video, paying attention to the nouns. Let's start paying attention. Whatever catches our interest, whenever somebody's name is dropped or a title of a book is dropped, do the research, look into it, and then that will lead you to something else. And then that's how you start to build your intellectual palate, right? That's how you start to build your repertoire of people that you know, people that you can reach out to and eventually start building relationships with. It's just a matter of doing the work, initiating contact, reaching out. That's it. So I'm sure I forgot a few points, but I'll touch on those later. And that's all I have to say right now. But I really want everyone to win. Like, I want everyone to win. Let's get out here. Let's do what we want to do. And let's win. Let's win. So with that being said, Aquaus Kelley, 7 Days of Wisdom, a Lover's Ambition. Peace.